As I just mentioned a while ago, since we may not be able to cover some of the tests that we are planning to cover, like t-test and chi-square test, which are simple for sure, but we have to be careful to apply those tests given the underlying assumptions. We will discuss those probably in a 2-hour live session, hopefully in a month or so, right? So we'll plan for that because the notes is prepared. It's just about scheduling that 2-hour live session. Cool. Okay, I see. One second, just a second, please. Sure, I'll do a quick recap and then get started as usual. Okay, so I'll do that. Okay, some of you are saying 2 days might be better than 1 day. Yeah, so let's see. I mean, it's an experiment, obviously. So the only concern I have with sort of like a 2-day sort of sessions is that both your Saturday and Sunday might be completely lost to this. Well, people might want at least a day off for themselves. Again, we'll see. We'll experiment with a few formats and let's see. Again, we're collecting just basic data on how many people are joining, how many people are leaving as time progresses. That's expected behavior, right? So we'll try to track this data even for a slightly different format and try to converge to one of the formats eventually. So yes, so this is also an A/B test that we might conduct, but the only point here is we don't have control and treatment. We might have, but we may have a reasonable sized samples, and let's see how that works. Cool, Ujjwal, I'm handing the mic to you, so please.
Hello.
Yes, Ujjwal.
So my question is, in our case, in the Netflix problem, can't we just conduct multiple tests? Like we just have to funnel 1% of the or 10% of the users, right? So can't we conduct multiple tests and get the median of it, and then like that would be easier, right? Rather than going through all the simulation and all.
No. So, by the way, we will not do simulation in the real world, right? We will see if you are working at Netflix, right? If you're trying to decide between whether I should have the top 10 panel or not, you would actually do the test. No simulation required. Since we don't have the data that Netflix has, we are bound to simulate. That's it. In the real data, your XC and XT will come from the actual data itself, number one. Number two is you don't require to simulate. The simulation is only done because we don't have the actual data. That's it. Is that clear?
Yes. So the thing is, like we calculated the median, right? Median time spent. So, like, can't we conduct the same experiment multiple of times to determine that to
No, there's a
determine the
problem, right? Oh, good question. Very nice question. I got it now. So imagine you're conducting this experiment multiple times. There is a small risk associated with it, right? The risk that you'll run into is this. Suppose you're sending 1% of traffic to a treatment, right? To a treatment. Now, you did it for, let's say, 3 days to get enough data. Then after 3 days, you again run the same experiment again. So if you observe, almost if you repeat this maybe 10 times or 20 times, right? You are spending 1% of your traffic just on treatments for almost a month. And if some of the treatments are bad, it is creating bad customer experience. So that's why I said at the very beginning that there is a cost to experimentation. Again, that cost should be as low as possible. If you're just throwing the resources that you have at experimentation, that might create bad experience to users and also have business impact for you. So you may not have the liberty in the real world to run experiments forever or for a very long time.
so another thing that I had is rather than like keeping, let's say I have taken 1,000 people in my test thing, treatment thing. So can't I just like divide them into like groups of, let's say, 50, and then get the median and then do the simulation? Won't it be more accurate?
So what you're talking about is something called bootstrapping. Literally what you're doing is
Yeah.
bootstrapping, right? So we'll discuss that. So bootstrapping, so a lot of the classical tests, so you have the classical T tests and classical tests, they're often done as a bootstrap variant. Bootstrapping is an extremely powerful strategy. We will actually discuss that, how to use a bootstrap is a general strategy. Okay, it's basically creating samples with replacement. That's what bootstrapping is all about. So you can do bootstrapping, and we'll see how to use bootstrapping to come up with confidence intervals. You can also do bootstrap based hypothesis tests. They're actually used quite extensively because bootstraps are easy, computationally easy to handle. Yes, you're right that we can do that.
Thank you, sir.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, while others join, I'll have a couple of other folks. Prince, question to you. Sorry, the mic to you. I'm sorry. Hello. 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 Prince, I'm just hearing a white hiss noise and nothing else. So please post your question in Q&A. I'll hand the mic to the next person. So this is Vishwanath.
Yeah. Hi, sir. It's really nice attending this session. So it's very knowledgeable. So the only confusion I have is, I mean, whenever we talk about hypothesis testing, either we reject null hypothesis or we fail to reject null hypothesis. That's the terminology used.
Yes.
So what's the difference between accepting null hypothesis or fail to reject null hypothesis? Is there?
It's literally a slight terminology, because if you want to be really rigorous, the textbooks typically say that you either accept the null hypothesis or you fail to reject, right?
Yes.
So, but in practice, okay, so that is just to make sure that you're rigorous in the way you're wording it.
Okay.
But in practice, you either accept null hypothesis or you accept alternative hypothesis as far as practical implementation is concerned.
Okay.
That specific terminology of fail to reject, or that specific terminology, is more to be rigorous from a probabilistic standpoint. Again, the whole hypothesis testing field itself from the early 1900s has gone through a lot of philosophical ups and downs, right? Because from the time of Pearson, I mean, tons of phenomenal statisticians. So there is also a lot of philosophical underpinnings to A/B tests, and also very cleanly worded in some places. Very, especially written by hardcore statisticians, have very neat wording just to make sure that it is statistically rigorous statements. While that is perfectly all right from a pure mathematical rigor perspective, from a more applied standpoint, either you reject null hypothesis or you reject you reject null hypothesis and accept alternative hypothesis otherwise.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll take one more question and then get started. Again, I promise you, we'll spend good amount of time at the end with Q&A. So this is.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you. General, like, two questions. So my first question is, like, we are discussing the top 10 in, like, let's say India. So I meant to say, like, we are measuring the median time difference, like the user spent more time engaging, like we are able to engage the user, but rather, like it's my thought. So we should measure the how many people like clicked on that particular top 10, right? And the second question I have to follow up this, and there can be like, can a Netflix can do a multiple test on this data, like let's say they are also using this data for their another application such as recommendation system, because if most of the people are watching that particular movie in India, so they are recommending a new user coming from that particular geo. So that is like they are using some multiple tests at the back end, or just like one test at a time.
So to answer both the questions, I'll tackle the first one. You're right that we could also have measured just the CTR, or the click-through rate, on the banner in the 10 on the 10 ad, sorry, on the 10 top 10 movie banner. But I did not want to introduce that problem at the outright because it's a slight variation. If you recall, we introduced a slight variation of permutation test where we said, should we use this or that, right? Using click-through rates. So in practice, they could measure two things for the same hypothesis test or the same A/B test. They could use multiple statistics and multiple metrics that they can track. One could be click-through rate on this panel of top 10 movies in the geolocale, and as well as did it increase the overall time spent or not. They could measure both, and that's more appropriate, as you rightly pointed out. Number one. Number two is most companies run thousands of experiments simultaneously, right? So what happens there is, suppose imagine that this is the whole large pool of customers that you have, right? Large pool of users. Suppose you want to get some 1% random users for your experiment. Someone else wants to also get 1% users. Someone else wants 1% users. But what happens here is very interesting. That's what is the challenge in actually designing industrial scale A/B tests. So the way you do it is, you have one random, suppose you have multiple random number generators. You use each team that wants to get 1% traffic uses one random number generator. So they get 1% of traffic as treatment, 99% as control. The other team uses a different random number generator. So because they're using a different random number generator, they get 1% of traffic, but that 1% will also have 1% of people who got the first experiment, right? So as far as I'm concerned, as far as each experiment is concerned, I'm getting control and treatment, which has the same proportions of all variations that other experiments have been conducted. So even though we have only 100% of traffic, we could conduct 1,001% experiments, because these experiments are overlapping. If you think of them as sets, there will be a lot of overlap on these sets. Again, that's a topic that I'm not able to cover. That's a topic that we have, which is how do you run thousands of simultaneous experiments, right? I just mentioned this a while ago. That's a very interesting problem, a real world challenge. It can be done. It's just that, think about it this way, right? If each of your experiments use a different random number generator, there will be overlaps of customers assigned to you. You can still solve it. Okay. So it is actually done in such a way that you can run thousands of experiments in most A/B testing platforms in the world.
Okay. Sure, sir. Looking forward to the next topic.
Well, let's get started. Thank you, Divij. Good questions.